Today's recipe is mango achar, also known as mango pickle. For this recipe, I got 3 raw mangoes. They're really hard and you really need raw mangoes. And what I will be doing is I will be rinsing these mangoes and soaking it at room temperature water for a minimum of 4 hours, because if there's any sap left around the mango stem, that will come off in the water. So here I got 1300 grams of mangoes, which is 1.3 kilos, with the mango seed. So once I remove the seed and chop these mangoes into pieces, I'll let you know how much it weighs then. I'm rinsing these mangoes with room temperature water, and now what I'll do is I will soak them in water for a minimum of 4 hours, and then I'll show you what to do next. It's been exactly 4 hours since I soaked these cherries or raw mangoes. Now what I'll do is I will remove this and place it on a plate here, and I want this to completely dry before cutting into it for the achar recipe. So I just want to do this, and I'll do this and keep it overnight in this plate. And the reason I did this is because I want to just if you have fresh cherries, then, and if there's sap around, this is the best method to do, is to soak it for a few hours and then dry the mangoes out and then continue on the next step. I kept these mangoes overnight for drying, so let's check. It's completely dry. You can see even this kitchen towel is dry. That means mangoes are dried. Make sure your hands are also dry. Never let any moisture now touch these mangoes. So let's move on to the next step. Now it's time to cut these cherries, and I have already made sure that there's no moisture on this, because you don't want any fungus growing into your achar. So make sure everything is dry. I made a mistake by buying such huge cherries. You actually get smaller half-size cherries, but I couldn't find them. Where I went to shop, I just couldn't find them. And what happens is, because I bought this big cherry, it's going to be difficult for me to cut into it, but I'm going to try. I've always bought smaller cherries, so it's always been easier for me to cut, but now buying these large cherries is not helping me. So this is how I'm going to cut now, and I'll just chop these into whatever size you want to chop. I'm just cubing them like this into smaller pieces. It's up to you how you want to chop the cherries, but since it's going to be a task for me to cut into this, I have to just make my work a bit easy. So you can see I'm just chopping this. And I will continue doing this for the rest of my mangoes, the raw mangoes. See, I had already done one earlier, and all this is left because I bought a big size cherry, which you should never do. I did it, and it's a mistake. So that's why I'm struggling to cut, but we all learn from our mistakes. Probably next time when I make it again, I will not do this, and I will make sure I'll find smaller cherries. So just continuously cut these. I've cut all these cherries. I'm going to weigh them, and then accordingly I will measure my masalas. Now moving on to the next step, what I will be doing is I will just place these chopped cherries into a separate dish. I want to add some salt and some turmeric powder, and the reason I'm adding salt and turmeric powder right now is because salt helps release moisture in any kind of vegetables and even fruits. So I will be adding this so that I want the moisture from this cherry to come out, and then I'll drain that moisture out. And the reason I'm doing it is because I want this achar to last longer for me, at least a year. So here I've got about 75 grams of salt. I know it's a lot of salt, but in total for this recipe, I will be using 150 grams of salt. It's better to use more salt than less salt in your recipe, because if you use less salt, then the achar can get spoiled quite quickly and it won't last long. So this is what I'm doing. I'm just adding the salt to my curries. Also, you need turmeric powder. Just this also acts as a preservative and gives the curry a longer shelf life. I mean the achar a longer shelf life. So I'm doing this because I'm the only one eating achar in my household, and my mom and dad back home love achar, so they have that, but here I'm the only one having achar. Now what I'm doing is I'm just mixing everything thoroughly, and I will be just letting the salt and the turmeric be in this bowl for a minimum of 2 to 3 hours. And once I see the moisture release from these curries, I will drain it out, and then I will show you what I do next. And now what I'll do is I'll cover and let it rest. It's been exactly 4 hours since I applied the salt and haldi to this curry raw mango, and you can see the mango has already left water. So now what I want to do is I want to drain this water out from this mango and keep it in a separate dish. So that's what I'm going to do. Now what I want to do with this curry is I want to make sure there's no water remaining, and remember, moisture is not good for this achar. So now what I will be doing is I'll first dispose this water off, and I will be spreading this raw mango onto a separate tray or dish, whatever you have. You can just spread it. So I'm going to spread it on this. What I've done is I have taken a thali. I have this thali which I use for kneading the dough or anything for my cooking. So I'm going to use that, and I'm going to spread all the mango pieces on it, and I will be further drying this mango. I'll just keep it on the table under the fan so that these raw mangoes dry further. I'll let you know how much time it took me for these raw mangoes to dry. Now, I did not mention earlier, I cut these mangoes, and they, from 1.3 kilograms, it became 1 kilogram of this raw mango after removing the seed. I'll just keep it for drying, and then I'll show you the next. These are the spices that I will be using to make 1 kilo of Aam Ka Achaar, also known as mango pickle. The measurements will be mentioned on the screen and in the description box below. So here I've got some yellow mustard seeds, also known as rye. I've got some black mustard seeds, also known as rye. Here I've got some fennel seeds known as soft. Make sure to take a little thicker kind of fennel seeds. Here I've got some dhania seeds, also known as coriander seeds. Here I've got some black peppercorn, also known as kali mirchi. Here I've got the remaining salt. So I put half of the salt with the haldi, that's turmeric powder, and added it to my curry, and now I'm using the other half, which is 75 grams of salt. Here I've got jaggery, which is around 5 grams. This is good, and if you want to use it, you can. If you don't want to use it, just skip it, but this I recommend using because it helps in balancing the flavors of this achar. Here I've got some Kashmiri red chili powder. This will add color to my pickle, to my achar. Here I've got some kalonji, also known as onion seeds or nigella seeds. This will add a nice flavor to the achar. I've got some fenugreek seeds, and this will also help in preserving this achar or pickle for a longer period of time. And here I've got some chili flakes. Now for this 1 kilo, I have used 40 grams of chili flakes, but it's up to you if you want to increase it or decrease it. But I would highly recommend sticking to the measurements of this recipe. And if you're making more than a kilo of achar, then obviously you can calculate and adjust accordingly the spices that will be used in this recipe. I will also be using some mustard oil, and now we will go to the next step. So here I will also be using cumin seeds, which I forgot to mention earlier. So let's start dry roasting these spices. So I like to dry roast them on low to medium flame. So let's start with black peppercorns and coriander seeds, that's known as dhania, and zira, which is known as cumin seeds. And I like to dry roast them just to get the moisture out from these spices, and also it to infuse better flavors for my achar. So I'll just dry roast them for literally less than 30 seconds, just 10 to 15 seconds, because you don't want to burn these spices. I will now start adding the remaining soft zero, and I will also add all the rye, and I'll just add all the spices together. I will also be adding my fenugreek seeds, also known as methi. Dry roast them on very low flame for just 30 seconds and less than a minute. You can get the aromatic flavors of these spices as well. I will be coarsely grinding these spices in my dry grinder, and coarsely grinding means dardara. You can hear the crackling sound. At this point of time, I'll just close my stove, and I will let all these spices cool down completely, and then I will dry grind them. These spices that have been roasted are cool now, and I will dry grind them. This is how I have just blended the spices coarsely. I just did about 4 to 5 pulses, and now I will add it to the remaining masalas. Now the spices that I just ground, I just add them to this bowl. I will also be adding the red chili flakes as well as the kalonji and the salt. I will be adding this red Kashmiri powder, red chili powder, Kashmiri red chili powder to my oil, and then I'll add it to the mango. And this jaggery as well I'll add. First I'll just stir in the spices together. Now if you want to use jaggery, you can go ahead and use it. If you don't want to use it, you don't need to. But jaggery just kind of balances the tangy flavor of the mango in this achar. So I'm just giving it a quick stir. You can also add a little half of the Kashmiri red chili powder, and the other half I leave it for the oil. So before adding the jaggery, I'll just crush it a bit so that it can blend well. Also add white sugar if you want, and if you don't want this, you don't need to add at all. Make sure that there is no moisture in this masala at all, and that's why I let the spice cool down completely for at least half an hour before grinding it into a coarse powder. Now I'll keep this aside, and I will use this in my next step to add it to the curry or the raw mangoes. I've just turned the stove on. Now what I want to do is I will be using mustard oil for this recipe. So for now I will be using around 1 cup of mustard oil, and what I want to do is I want to heat this mustard oil up completely, and I want to heat it to its maximum burning point, so that if there's any flavor or smell of the mustard oil, it will go. So I think I'll just do 1.5 cups of mustard oil. You can do 1.5 or even 2 cups. It's up to you. So for now, I'm just doing 1.5 cups, and I will wait till this oil heats up. Now I will be checking the temperature of the mustard oil, because the aroma of the mustard oil is best when it has been brought to its smoking point, which is around 400 degrees Fahrenheit or 250 degrees Celsius. So let's see. The reason I'm measuring it with the thermometer, so I want to avoid burning the oil beyond its burning point. So now it's almost at 400. I can feel the heat in my wok. It's quite hot. So be careful when you have a thermometer and you're doing it. And I think at this point of time, you can see the smoke. I hope you can see the smoke coming out. And this is the smoking point that I want. So right now you can see the smoke, and it's almost reaching, and it's reached 400 Fahrenheit. That's the burning temperature of the mustard oil. Now what I'll do is I'll just let it cool down. It's been exactly 10 minutes and the oil has kind of cooled down, but not completely. The smokiness has disappeared. So at this point of time, I will add in the rest of my Kashmiri red chili powder. Kind of stir in it. You can mix it with a spoon, but I just want to stir the oil with the powder. So what it does is it gives the oil a good red color. And now what I'll do is I will add this to my spice. Now just add the oil. And please make sure there's no moisture, there's no water anywhere close to your masalas or close to the mango, because as soon as there's water around, that means the achar or the mango pickle can start getting fungus, which we don't want. So right now I'm just stirring in the oil and the achar masala. At this point of time, you can taste for salt and for the spiciness of this achar. And normally this achar does have a little extra salt because it acts as a preservative, and that's why please follow the measurements as mentioned on the screen and in the description box below if you're cooking 1 kilo of mango achar. If you're cooking more than that, then you can do the calculation as per the weight of the mangoes. So I let this dry overnight. Actually, for around 24 hours these mangoes have been drying. So now, since the mangoes have dried, I will be pouring it into another container. This I've already washed and air dried it, so make sure there's no liquid in this container. So what I like doing is, before I pour the raw mango curry into this, I will be just applying a little oil, spread the prepared achar mixture all over here. Before adding the curry, the raw mango. So now you can see I have spread the achar here, and now I will take all the dried curry and pour it into this container. Next, what I will be doing is I will be pouring the entire achar mixture that I made with the mustard oil, also known as sarson ka tel. Pour everything. So what we need to do is every day, twice a day, we need to turn the curry within this container every day for the achar to cure. And now what I like doing is I will be covering this with in an airtight container, and I will let this cure. So today is the next day after I poured the achar in this box. So let's check on it, because every day you have to turn it twice. So you can see the achar. I'll just turn it, and now what I feel is there's not enough oil in this achar. So what I did is I heated up extra oil, like I did earlier in the video I've shown, and I have done the same method of cooling the oil down before pouring it here. So in total I've actually used 500 ml of oil for this recipe, and now I'll just give it a good stir. The reason I added extra oil is that it's important to cover every piece of this mango pickle with extra oil. And now I've already turned it. Now later on, this is morning, later on in the evening I will turn it again, and this I will continue doing for a month. I'll show you how it starts curing the mango with the oil and the masalas. And now I'll cover and keep it aside, and make sure that the spoon is always dry and there's no moisture, there's no water that enters this achar. I just want to show you how the mango is after 45 days. So this Aam Ka Achaar, also known as mango pickle, is ready to serve. If you make it in any other way, please leave a comment in the description box below. Please comment, like, share and subscribe to my channel. Please click on the bell icon for notification of my latest videos. And thank you for watching. Enjoy!